Okay, now we're officially ready. All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for joining us for today's presentation of the Holiday Blues, how life changes can impact mental health during the holidays. My name is Nia Murray. I am Programs Coordinator with Neighborhood Recovery Community Development Corporation, and we want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We know that there are a lot of life changes that have occurred, especially over the last couple of years with a lot of folks. People are still going through financial hardships. A lot of people have lost loved ones over the last couple of years, and it can be mentally taxing during the holidays, especially. So we wanted to provide you guys with some information. We lost Alejandro. Provide you all with some information and tips and resources that can kind of help you with identifying some of those mental changes that people go through during the holidays. People start to display signs of depression and anxiety, and you may not even know it. We have a lot of senior neighbors in the neighborhood that you tend to not see anymore. They kind of try to, stay secluded or something like that. And we just kind of want you guys to be mindful of those types of things and just to kind of reach out, because you never know what some people are going through at any particular time in their lives, but especially during the holidays, to reach out to them and kind of keep them encouraged and keep them motivated. But we didn't want that information to come from us. We wanted to provide you guys with a few experts that can kind of provide that information for you. So we are going to have our presenters today, Ms. Naomi Hardy and Ms. Rhonda Dallas and Mr. Alejandro Rodriguez, to present information to you guys today. There are a few different initiatives that Neighborhood Recovery works on throughout the year, including asset building and asset protection programs. And mental health is one of those assets that a lot of people kind of tend to take for granted. And it's most people don't think of your mental health or your mental capacity to be an asset, and it is. It's like one of the biggest assets that you have to protect and maintain at all times in order to do much of anything else. So if your mental stability is not quite where it needs to be, or if you're going through depression or anxiety or other challenges, then it tends to help to impact you physically. It tends to impact you financially and in a couple of other different areas. So there are a few initiatives that NRCDC works on, again, through various programming throughout the year. So we wanted to kind of make you guys aware of that and introduce you to those key staff members, consultants that actually coordinate those particular programs. So I'd like to take a moment to just introduce you guys to those key faculty members and have them introduce themselves and what they do and the initiatives that they actually work on. So in case you guys were interested in joining and participating, then you'll know who to exactly to contact. So let's start with Mr. Milton. Are you there, Milton?
Yes, hello. Hello, my name is Milton Guardado. I'm the GO Community Coordinator. We work with building assets within our community and try to bring collaboration so that we can have a voice within the community and allow the community to help with engagement and bring different resources to them. And so anything that you might need, we're going to be around. And we do have our retreat happening this weekend, December the 10th. At 10 a.m. And so we're looking to hear voices from the community as we work towards projects that are in the upcoming year. So thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for all of you coming.
And then we have Ms. Jennifer Anderson.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Anderson. I am the Community Health Improvement Liaison for OST South Union Health Improvement Partnership, which is short for OHIP. And what we do in OST South Union is address social determinants of health via civic engagement and creative expression. So welcome, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, and Ms. Linda Bass.
Good afternoon, I think. My name is Linda Bass. I am the project coordinator for Dream 77021. And our focus is on mental health and well-being. And that's another side of mental health, whereas we're looking at what are the conditions in the community that impact how you feel, whether you feel good and happy and safe, because those things often have root causes as to why they aren't the way they should be. Those are the things we're looking at and involving and getting input and engagement of residents to help develop their voice about changing those things.
Okay, well, thank you guys very much for being here today to kind of give insight on those initiatives as well. I'd like for us to go ahead and introduce our three presenters that we're going to have on today. And then following the introduction, we wanted to make sure also that that a lot of the Spanish speaking folks that are in the communities that we serve also are able to receive this information. So we're going to have a Spanish breakout room. So for those folks that are Spanish speaking, they can go into a room and hear the entire presentation in Spanish. And that's going to be provided and presented by Mr. Alejandro Rodriguez. So Alejandro, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself first? And Deanna, if you want to do translation as well.
Okay. Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Alejandro Rodríguez. Soy psicoterapeuta, licenciado en Desarrollo Humano, director de la Clínica Sentido de Vida, clínica de rehabilitación, principalmente en adicciones. Y bueno, me va a tocar trabajar esta parte, pero en español, ¿no? Muchísimas gracias por invitarme.
All right, so hello everybody, my name is Diana Paredes and I would like to introduce Alejandro. Alejandro Rodriguez is the director of the organization Sentido de Vida and he's a psychotherapist. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Ms. Naomi, would you like to introduce yourself? Yes.
My name is Naomi J. Hardy, and I am a coach in change leadership professional, and just excited to share some experience and some knowledge with you regarding the holiday blues from both a professional and an experience base.
Okay, and Ms. Rhonda Dallas.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rhonda Dallas. I am a healthcare administrator. I am a certified health and wellness life coach and a certified nutritional counselor. I'm so excited to be here today because I actually worked 2 years of the pandemic down on the ground, traveling all across the United States. And so when I say processing the pandemic and mental health, this is a passion of mine, and I'm just grateful to be here and grateful to be invited.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this time, Deanna, would you like to give the instructions about the breakout room? And then we're going to move right on into our presentation.
All right, so voy a abrir la ventana de breakout rooms y cualquiera de ustedes que quiera tener la presentación en español, les va a aparecer una ventana y tienen que aceptar y los va a mandar al cuarto con Alejandro Rodríguez y ahí yo voy a estar por si necesitan alguna ayuda técnica.
Yeah, everything she said.
All right, so. Ok, ya la abrí. Aquellos que quieran participar en la sala de español, por favor acepten. Y si no saben cómo, háganmelo saber y yo los puedo mandar a ese cuarto.
How do we go to that room?
Okay, so Milton, I'm gonna send you there, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So they don't get to choose themselves to go?
Yes, they can do that, but sometimes people, they don't know how to go to the room. So
Okay.
I told them to ask me so I can send them to the Spanish room.
Okay. Is there anybody else that's interested in hearing the presentation in Spanish?
Tengo, I have 4 people there. Somebody else, do you want to join them? No?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I will be
All
there.
right.
See you later.
All righty. Don't forget to record.
Okay.
All right. All right. So for all of you that remain here in this session, once they're done with the Spanish presentation, then everyone is gonna join and reconvene, and we're gonna all reunite here. And we're gonna encourage people to either give their input. If there's some available resources that are out there that are not mentioned today that you all know about that you'd like to share, please feel free to do that. Or if you'd like to give your own little tips about things that you may have done to kind of help you with making it or managing through the holidays, then please feel free to share your experience as well. So we're going to go ahead and start with Ms. Naomi, and then we'll move into Ms. Dallas's presentation. And please feel free, if you do have questions, to type them into the chat, and we'll go over all chats at the all questions at the end of the presentation. If you are joining us on Facebook, then please feel free to type your questions into the comments in the comment section, and we'll go over that. One thing I do want to be mindful of, and give the disclaimer about the fact that we are recording and we are broadcasting live on our social media platform. So any questions that you may have, we try to ask that you keep them to be as general as you possibly can, to not divulge any personal detail information about your own specific situation, meaning giving out names. My brother did this and my mother did this. We live at, please don't disclose any of that kind of information, because we want to try to protect your privacy as best as we possibly can. So, but please feel free to be as interactive as you like with any questions or comments, but ask that you just hold those until the end. So Ms. Naomi, please feel free to go right ahead.
Well, good afternoon. I have about 30 minutes to share information with you. Wanted to just spend some time talking about the holiday blues and life changes with mental health, particularly talking, having time to talk about what are these life changes. Screen to advance. All right. What are these life changes? How do they affect mental health? A little of the impact of life changes during the holiday, and some tips for you to deal with the impact, and some tips where you may be able to help others to deal with the impact. And then to understand that, you know, when it comes to mental health and these changes, it's about change. So just going over a little bit about the stages of change with you. I will say that Ms. Brown, you're on the event, and NAMI is my go-to source for a lot of things. So thank you guys for what you do, for what you bring, and what you offer to the state of mental health and well-being. First of all, I want to start by saying mental health is a positive concept. It's about our emotions, our psyche, and our social interactions. So the thing about having good mental health is more than the absence of illness. It's a state of a holistic well-being. So when we're mentally healthy, there's some things that we can do. We can start to realize our abilities. We can cope with stress. We can work productively, and we can be a positive contribution to society. So that's why mental health is so important. But I do want to make the point that mental health is a positive concept. Life comes along and things happen, and they kind of, you know, they throw us a little off course, and they mess with our well-being and pose a threat to our state of well-being. So what does that look like? We get stressed. And especially during the holidays, we get stressed. Especially during deadlines, we get stressed. Especially during changes, we get stressed. And we start to lose sight of our abilities. In the workplace, production suffers, but also at home, production suffers, because we get caught up in change and we lose focus of the here and now. We're so busy getting caught up in the change and what the change was, and not letting go, that we lose focus and we lose ground with the here and now. So it's the holiday seasons that we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the holiday blues. And I saw this statistic, and it said 38% of people surveyed said that their stress gets out of control during the holidays. Those are just the people surveyed. I would beg to differ that probably 75% of people get stressed throughout the holidays, you know, and the difference is how long the stress lasts. The difference is how do we get back on course? And that's all where mental health and mental wellness shows up. It shows up in different types of ways, especially during the holidays. We can lose appetite. You know, some people lose their appetite and they can't eat. They can't seem to hold things down, while other people, they can't control eating. They put on 10, 15, 20 pounds during this time. There are those of us that withdraw. We just want to go into our shell. We just want to be alone. And we're thinking through a lot of things. Short-tempered, people get short-tempered, they get impatient. It seems like you can't ask them anything. And it's because they're concentrating so hard just to try to make it. Any interruption to those thought processes just fuels the situation. And again, you will find that domestic violence, which is an entirely other topic, tends to rise during this time. The domestic violence between couples, between families, between friends. Another way that it shows up is silence. People they just get quiet. They just stop talking. And you or someone you know may find themselves suddenly crying. You're just crying all of a sudden for no reason. You don't know why. It comes on you. Uncontrollable sadness. You get sad and you want to snap out of it and you can't. And then again, you're caught up in the change, so you feel lost and you can't concentrate. It also shows up as overworking. You know, some people that they just work to avoid dealing with the state that they're in. And then there's your health. There's your overall health that begins to suffer high blood pressure, diabetes, insomnia, those types of health issues. But I want you to know that you have options. There are ways that you can deal with the impact of the holiday blues. And there are ways to help others deal with the impact of the holiday blues. And that's what we're going to talk about today. There are ways to help yourself, and there are ways to help others deal with the holiday blues. So exactly what are some of, we talked a little bit about the symptoms, but what are some of the causes? What are some of the causes that come and bring me to the holiday blues? There is family and social pressures. There is a need and a calling to be around family when you may not really want to be. There's a social pressure to attend events. There's a social pressure of not getting invited to events. I know people who get the holiday blues simply because there's so many events and stuff going on and they're not invited. They're not included in any of them. So there's social pressures. Then there's the lack of finances. And I can't speak about this enough because it comes so many different ways. There's a lack of finances from not saving. There's a lack of finance from misuse of funds. There's a lack of finance for the money just not being there. And last but not least, there is there's loss of jobs. Towards the end of the year, my background is in human resource management, and towards the end of the year is when a lot of company cuts happen, which unfortunately coincides with the holidays. So lack of finances. Another cause is unreasonable expectations. There are unreasonable expectations that you put on yourself. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies. We expect to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G all in one day. And if we don't do it, we'll failure. And we start to have that cycle running through our mind, unreasonable expectations. We don't say no when we know that we can't do something. We stretch ourselves and try to make it. And once again, when we don't, we think that we failed instead of realizing I just set an unreasonable expectation on myself. A lot of us are going through these body shifts and these wanting to look a different way and trying these different diets and everything. So there are dietary concerns and maintenance during the holidays too that cause the holiday blues. I want to encourage you to don't be afraid. Ask what's on the menu. Let them know if you have some dietary concerns. For Thanksgiving, we do a huge family event where we have anywhere from 65 to 100 people. We rent a hall and we bring everybody together. And this year, one of the famous dishes, they love my spaghetti. I do this thing with spaghetti. They love my spaghetti, but this year I was cautious. I did the spaghetti but then I also did a turkey spaghetti, and I put sausage and everything in it, and I put turkey sausage in it. And I was cautious of people who may not be able to have tomatoes. So I did a cream-based sauce. Don't be afraid to say that you have some restrictions and you need some things done a different way. Can you, you know, if y'all are barbecuing, can we have some meat without the sauce? And any other thing, gravy, can I have the gravy on the side? Don't stress yourself. And then there's sadness and loneliness. You know, the holidays is a time to reflect. And unfortunately, we, over the past couple of years and years before then, but especially over the last couple of years, we've lost some people during the holidays, during the end of the year with COVID and other things. So sadness and loneliness comes in, and it agitates, and it brings on the holiday blues. And then just, where am I? We're at the end of the year. Where am I? What have I done for myself? What have I done towards my goals? This whole feeling of a lack of progress, because we're starting to see everything that we didn't do and not looking at what we did do. And once again, the recent loss of a loved one, it just really starts to prevail. It really starts to just show its head, the grief, the missing, something as simple as looking over, something as simple as maybe you used to fuss about, you know, which decorations to put up, and now you have no one to fuss with it about. You know, it's that bittersweet thoughts that come to mind during the holidays. So I'd like to take a moment and give you some tips for helping yourself. When it comes to helping yourself, build in some time to recover after a lot of holiday events. Like I say, you get so caught up with going here and there, and then it's time to go back to work. Build in some time to recover after the holiday events. And then at the same time, don't feel obligated to attend everything. Attend some events, figure out what you're gonna attend, and be okay with what you don't attend. And if you've recently lost someone and you want to be around family, and I'm just gonna be honest, you want to be around family, but you don't want family to be around you. You know, you want to see everybody's faces, but you want to be able to quiet the noise when it gets to be a little bit too much for you, because you just have so much going on in your head. You can video chat. You can email and Zoom or any other video platform. You can use those to connect with people during the holidays. Like I said, we do a big event at Thanksgiving. And so this year I brought in my projector and everything. We had family members able to come in by Zoom, and it was amazing. So we actually let someone on Zoom lead the family prayer, and they felt so connected and they felt so involved. And then afterwards, we were able to wave hello and goodbye and let them go on back to their day. And I was called afterwards and I was told, oh my God, I really didn't feel up to being around everybody, but just seeing everybody just lifted my soul. And again, don't be afraid to ask what's on the menu. Don't be afraid to state your dietary needs, your dietary concerns, or and if they can't accommodate them, let them know that you will need to bring a little of your own, or offer to bring a dish. If there's something that you know that you are able to eat, just offer, just say, I'd like to bring a dish, and let that be something that you can eat that adds to it. I hope some of those tips are helpful. There are more tips. Accept your needs. You know, accept that you have different needs, accept that you are going through the holiday blues. Be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself down. A lot of people beat themselves down. Be realistic. This is the holidays. People do get the holiday blues. And be realistic that this is a point in time. This does not have to be forever. Set those boundaries. I'm feeling a little some kind of way right now, but I'm not going to be this way during the whole holidays. I refuse to be this way during the holidays. You have to demand, command, and manifest how you want it to be. Exercising. Exercising is a good way to redistribute the energy in your body. It can be as simple or as complex as you want. Exercise. Get up, go outside, walk around your backyard, get some fresh air. Go sit outside and do some leg. They have so many exercises that you can do now sitting in the chair. Do that. And then I talked about insomnia. Get yourself some sleep. Don't be afraid to take time to sleep. There is nothing wrong with taking a nap in the middle of the day. There is nothing wrong with taking a nap 2 hours after you wake up if you need to. Don't deprive yourself of the time to sleep, because sleep refuels the body. And I talked about being in the backyard, but there's nothing more positive than spending time with nature. Even if it's just driving to some neighborhood park that has a man-made pond or lake or something, and just spend some time with nature. And last but not least, I have to say, allow yourself to grieve. When you're going through the holiday blues, one of the worst things you can do is hold it in. Allow yourself to grieve, but again, set those boundaries. But let it come out. You may have to go in a room, you may have to go somewhere, let it come out. I lost someone during the holidays 2 years ago, and I have to allow myself time to grieve. As we're coming up on the holidays, I know I'm going to start feeling some kind of way. And I allow it to happen, but I don't allow it to stay. I let it pass through. And I even tell it, okay, you here, but you know, you got to go in a few minutes. you can't be here all day. I just don't have a place for you all day. I do things like that, and it works. It may seem crazy, but it works because you're setting boundaries and you're gearing yourself up to get out of this place, rather than saying, this is somewhere that I have to be. This is somewhere that I have to stay. So allow yourself to grieve, but challenge yourself to move on. So those are some tips for helping yourself. And I hope that you got a few nuggets out there that you can use if you do find yourself slipping. Because here's the deal, when it comes to mental health and mental illness, each of us at any given time will slip into a state of having mental illness. The key is that we come back. So I'm helping to give you tools to come back. That's the only difference between us and someone else, is that we find our way back. Okay? So I said someone else. There are others. There are so many that you're going to come across that are grieving, that are going through some holiday blues, not necessarily because they lost someone, but because it's that time of year. People are lonely. People need to be around people. And so this next section will give you some tips for helping others. Okay. So when helping others, the first thing you want to do is position yourself to help others. You know, get in a space where you're going to help others, which means you got to kind of let go of self, and you have to get in with others. You have to have empathy instead of sympathy. Okay. So one of the things you can do is give them space. Overcrowding someone when they are having the holiday blues can shut them down so fast. Give them space. Let them know in a loving, kind way that you're giving them space. I'm here for you. I may not call you every day, but I'm going to call you every other day just to check in on you. Or I'm going to text you. I'm just texting you to let you know I'm thinking about you. Check in on them. I just gave you some ways to check in on them. Nothing lights up a person going through the holiday blues more than a sincere smile. So if you can, smile, because they've forgotten how to smile. They want to, but they've forgotten how to smile in the moment. Smile and smile often. Sometimes just smiling at a person will help them try to smile. If you're sitting with someone and you know that they have the holiday blues, do not be afraid to sit in silence. It's okay to just sit there. A lot of times, like I said, when that happens, there's a lot of stuff going on in our head. There's a lot of stuff going on in the head. And so you're talking sometimes defeats the purpose, and you may see them starting to just get frustrated and everything. Don't be afraid to just sit in silence. I know when I was going through, just knowing that I could look over and I saw someone that was there, that was enough for me. That was enough for me. They didn't have to say anything. They just looked at me. I looked up and they looked at me with a warm, loving smile and allowed me to get back into my place. And I was just happy to know that they were there. So taking those steps to make them feel that should be safe, taking those steps to make them feel safe is very, very important. And thank them for being there. Thank them for being themselves. Just give them thanks, because when the blues are there, it also works with the self-esteem. So do a couple of things, nothing overbearing, but just thank them. Thank them for being there. And going back to the silence, listen, don't seek advice. Don't try to give advice unless you're being asked. Sometimes people just need to say. And you can just shake your head in understanding as they're talking and be silent for a moment. And if they want you to say something, they'll say something like, you ain't gonna say nothing? Well, what do you think about it? You don't have anything to say? Versus just coming out, giving your opinion, trying to tell them to go left when they're trying to go right. Yeah, just spend some time just listening to them. Just be an ear. A lot of times thoughts come up, and the person that is having the holiday blues, they just need to sound themselves out. They need to hear themselves say things. Always, always, always ask about any dietary concerns, because one of the things that you want to do is, when people are having the holiday blues, you want to bring something over for them. You want to just ask them, is there anything that you like in particular? Is there any, can you take it, with everything in it? Just be cognizant of that, and they'll appreciate it, because appreciation is needed during that time. Ask them how they feel about being around a lot of people. And if they're not comfortable about being around a lot of people, be understanding. You can even offer what, everybody, we start at 5, but people really don't get here till 7 to 6. So if you want to come from 5 to 5:30, if you want to come from 5 to 6, why don't you just come by from 5 to 6, get you a plate. Just encourage them to come for a little while, just to break up their little routine, for them to get some clothes on. For some of them, some people just to get up and get some clothes on helps, because they get outside again and they breathe that fresh air, and it helps. So those are a few tips for helping others. Now I want to get into the conversation about what this is really about. This is really about dealing effectively with change. When it comes to the holiday blues, people are going through change, just like this tree. They're going from being bare to being fruitful again, to being bare to being fruitful again, in their mind, in their appearance, in physically, mentally, emotionally. That is what's going on. So they're getting to a point where they need direction. So give them a chance as they go through change. Just give them a chance as they go through change. If you can remember that picture on the left, when it comes through, I am certified in change management, and I love dealing with change because there's so many aspects that people do not think about. But the transitions during change were really brought from a place of grief. That's how they came into place, because it was as though change is about letting something go and getting prepared to grab hold to something new. And so I'm going to take a moment and just go through the transitions during change. I'm going to go through the Bridges model. It's called the Bridges transition model. And I'm going to go through that with you. And if you have any questions, understand, I hope you're putting them in the chat or writing them down, so that when there's discussion time, we can come back to these points and discuss anything that may have resounded with you or that you can connect with. So we're going to talk about the Bridges model. And Bridges model is about, there's transitions during change. And that change is really about an ending. It's about an ending. And then there's this place where you become neutral. They call it the transition zone. And then you go into new beginnings. And they put it in 3 phases: reconcile, reorient, and recommit. So what we want to understand is that when it comes to this, there's a denial. When it comes to the holiday blues, you're like, I can't believe, I can't feel this way. No. And then there's the anxiety when you realize you are feeling that way. There's shock and confusion because you really don't know what to do or how to do it. There's resignation that when it comes to when you just say, you know what, forget it. I'm just gonna say, forget it. I'm just gonna withdraw. And then you get mad and you go, there's anger, there's avoidance, and there is confusion. That's all in the reconcile. All of this stuff is going through, the mind. And then there is undirected energy and a need for creativity. There's undirected energy, which causes conflict. There's a need for creativity. There's high stress, and then the true realization of the loss, the true realization of the loss of the change, of the loss that I'm not behaving the same way that I used to behave. I need to do something about it. And then we come into new beginnings where there is acceptance, impatience, hopeful, and being skeptical. And then you start to realize things and you get into relief, and there's a little bit more anxiety, and then excitement. The anxiety builds into excitement. And then you get into a trusting place of trusting yourself, of trusting where you're going. And then you get enthusiastic because you understand that there's new beginning. So I want you to see that there's a whole lot of things going on in that mind with the holiday blues. There's a lot of things going on, and they don't come in order. They don't come in order. So at one point you can be to the, you can, okay, I got this. I'm enthusiastic. I'm ready. I'm prayerful. I'm prayed up. I'm ready to go. And then by that evening, you like, I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I thought I had it together. I'm so confused. And then because you thought you had it together and you're so confused, you go into anger. Now, I say all of this for you to understand that these things are natural. Because sometimes when we go through these things, we think that we're losing our mind. These things are natural, and they are a natural part of change. They are a natural part of change. I also do the bridges transition of when it comes into, this is looking at it how it is personal, when you're out, when you're just mingling and out and everything. But I want to also show you what it looks like in the workplace. So there's a resistance to what's going on. There's uncertainty and fear, and there's emotional upheaval. The same thing, the end, the losing, the letting go, the beginning of the change. And then there's the neutral zone. Resentment builds towards the very change that you wanted to happen or that you said yes to. And it comes about in low morale and low productivity. We begin to lose identity, and there's anxiety that builds up about the role of identity. And then you just get skeptical. The confusion, once again, you get skeptical. And then the new beginning. There is acceptance that people have begun to embrace the change or the change initiative. The energy gets high. You see, it's the same pretty much like you saw on the previous slope that I gave you. High energy, openness to learning. So that's in the workplace. But if you put it in what you're going through at home for loss of a loved one or for whatever it's going on, openness to learning. I'm learning how to deal with it. I'm learning how to live each day without them in my life. I'm learning how to see the good things and smile. For me, I told you I recently suffered a devastating loss a couple of years ago, and now I can look back and smile. Whereas a year ago, when I look back, I cried. So it's the openness to learning. Take the same concept and let it do something different to you. A renewed commitment. I have a renewed commitment to myself. In the workplace, it's a renewed commitment to the group or to the role. But for the individual, it's a renewed commitment to yourself. So I just want to make sure, I mean, this is the key, this is the crust. If you grab hold to this as either someone that is dealing with the holiday blues or that you know someone dealing with the holiday blues, to put it in a nutshell, if you understand that it's about the ending, the losing, the letting go, that is what that person has to get into a place to do. That is what you have to get into a place and position yourself to do. And there's some steps aligned with that. And then there's the neutral zone, where you begin to come to a place of understanding, come to a place of knowing that there's something else, coming to a place of knowing that you don't have to stay in this place. You don't have to stay in this state. And you move on to a new beginning. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me, but I also want to let you give a few support places, and I'm sure there'll be more throughout the presentation. There will be plenty more throughout the presentation, but there's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. There's the National Council for Mental Well-Being. There's the National Alliance of Mental Illness, which is NAMI, and there's a NAMI representative here. And I just think so much of NAMI. They have a crisis text line that's 24 hours. They have a helpline, and that's the number for the helpline. But they also do free mental health referrals and support. So hats off to NAMI, and again, just thrilled that there is actually a representative here today doing this presentation. I want to leave you with, whether you're helping someone or whether you're being helped, that you can do it. I just want you to know that when it comes to the holiday blues, you can do it. You can beat the holiday blues. I am Naomi J. Hardy of Dunamis Transition Solutions, and we are all about finding the good in change.
All right now. Well, I feel like I need to shout or something right after you just said all that. All right, we are going to move right along to Ms. Rhonda Dallas, who is on standby and waiting for us.
Okay, everybody. Just want to make sure you can see my screen before I get started.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you, Naomi. I will piggyback from a clinical standpoint on the holiday blues because this is so apropos and so important this time of the year. So a lot of times people come to us and they say, you know what? You look sad. Well, SAD is actually an acronym for a clinical term called seasonal affective disorder. And it's real. And this is a type of depression that affects some people during the short days of fall. As you all know, when the time goes back, when we fall back, we lose time. We lose daylight time. And a lot of times that affects us around the fall and winter and the holiday seasons, which happen to fall in that season, which is Thanksgiving and Christmas. Some of the signs of a person that might be dealing with seasonal affective disorder or SAD is unhappy. They're tired and they don't know why. They're gaining weight and don't know why. They're eating the same thing, but just the weight won't come off, or the weight just stays stagnant at the same scale temp. And then there's very little desire to exercise. So as we talked about, let's exercise, let's do this, let's do that. They don't even have the get up and go to want to go and exercise. They have the membership. They have the backyard walking trail. They have all the amenities that they need, but they just don't have the desire. Sometimes they're even grouchy. And you're like, what happened? You know, you were happy earlier and now you're cutting my head off, you're biting my head off. Sometimes they're hard to get along with. They could be the family or friends or even co-workers. So one of the things is that we have to exercise. Like Naomi mentioned, I'll mention it again from a clinical standpoint. When we exercise, we release certain pheromones in our body that are very, very vital to us having a great attitude. Clinically, when we sweat and when we hustle out there exercising, we're actually releasing hormones that the body needs to release in order for it to regain its strength. And so exercising is not just a new cute fad, but it's actually something that we need to do all the time. But when you experience sad disease, it's kind of hard during this time of the year to even want to do that. I know sometimes it's like, okay, it's already dark outside. Go where? Go exercise where? Where you can exercise in your home, you can exercise in your home office, you can exercise by walking up and down the stairs. There's so many things you can even do. You can even stretch. As we are in this virtual world, our body is not moving around but about 80% of the 100% it used to. So just imagine that 20% sitting in your back when you've been sitting all day. So it's good to stretch. It's good to walk around. It's good to take a break from what you're doing and just stretch. Just reach your arms out. Just get the exercise in. And then eat healthy as much as you can. A balanced diet. What do I mean when I say a balanced diet? I mean all your 5 fruits and vegetables. That is a balanced diet. Eat healthy. We've got all of these things clamoring for our time and energy. And as we sit here and we do virtual world all day, every day sometimes, there's DoorDash. There's all these different places where we can just hit an app and something's delivered to our home. I know it can be challenging, but eating healthy is the key when you are experiencing the holiday blues, because your body needs the nutrients that it needs to survive. It needs those nutrients, fruits and vegetables, to give it some upswing, to make it feel happy during this time of the year. Now let's talk about depression, because depression is real. And during the seasonal time, we have a lot of people that experience depression. Sometimes they don't even know clinically or medically what to even call it. They just know that they feel different around this time of the year than they did before. Well, the definition of depression is an illness that affects how we feel. It affects men and women of all ages. All ages can go through depression. You feel sadness and grief longer than you should. So it's one thing to be sad, or I'm not feeling well today, but it's another thing when this sadness and this not feeling well goes on for an extended period of time. That is when it is called clinically depression. And that happens during the holiday season. Many people don't even know how to even share that they're depressed with their loved ones. We know from the Afro-American community I can speak on, it's almost taboo to talk about, I'm not okay today. And loved ones sometimes can be our hardest critics. And so a lot of times we're just embarrassed. We just don't want to tell anybody that right now I am feeling really, really sad during the holiday season. A person who is depressed is not crazy. They're just depressed. It's a medical illness. It's caused by changes in the natural chemicals in the brain. You're getting too much of one and not enough of the other to the brain. And it creates what's called depression. But the good news is it can be treated. Sometimes with medication, a lot of time with just counseling or just talking to people about how you feel. Many people do not seek help because they feel they have the power themselves to get over it. And therefore they're like, I got this handled. Have you ever run across a person that's like, okay, maybe you need to go get, some help. And they're like, nope, I don't need any help. Tomorrow I'll be better. The next day I'll be better. The next day and the next day. And before you know it, it is become days, become weeks, and weeks become months. And before you know it, they are still depressed. So it's hard to talk about depression without being labeled at times. Anxiety is another part of seasonal affective disorder. It's anxiety. It's just like, what's wrong? It's a normal reaction to stress. Difficult situations can cause you to have symptoms such as sweaty palms, nervousness. If you have an anxiety disorder such as constant worry, muscle tension, trouble sleeping, nauseousness, diarrhea, that's signs of anxiety. Have you ever felt like my leg hurts, and then you go to the doctor and the doctor takes x-rays and scans and all of these things and runs up this huge bill only to tell you that there's nothing wrong with you? Sometimes that could just be anxiety, trying to get ahead, overthinking something that's not even there yet, thinking about Saturday on Wednesday, thinking about Thursday on Sunday, and vice versa. Sometimes we need to just sit back, relax, close our eyes, count, do a mindful moment. And sometimes we just need that stillness, that calmness. Because a lot of times when you do seek a physician and you keep going back, eventually sometimes they are going to put you on something, and maybe you didn't need to be put on anything. So try some natural things that you know that can bring down anxiety, especially during the holiday season. But if you do need to see a physician, then go by all means. Also, when you're experiencing anxiety, you need to try to avoid alcohol, illegal drugs, get some rest, exercise to relieve some tension, engage your mind. And yesterday I talked about something that was free. Just laugh a little bit sometimes. Find someone that makes you laugh, or find something that makes you laugh. And it's okay to relax. A lot of times we feel bad or we feel like we're not worthy when we are doing nothing. And sometimes you just need to relax. You don't have to always have a packed agenda every single day of your life. Now I want to talk about some resources. Once we come back, I'm going to give some more phone numbers as Naomi did. I want to be able to give some too that deal more from a clinical standpoint on this holiday blues and how to reach out and how to get help. But the last thing that I want to leave you with, if you are experiencing the holiday blues during this time of the year, it's okay to not be okay. But I ask that we reach out to one another as we go through this season, which is supposed to be happy to some of us, but not to all of us. And that ends my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to take them on when we have that time in our session. And thank you once again for allowing me to be able to speak on something I'm so passionate about.
I know there was somebody that had a comment. Ms. Burrell, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, did you want to go ahead and include your comment? I know you had your hand raised up for a good little while.
Oh, let me see who was speaking. The lady before,
It's Naomi.
Naomi, yes, Naomi. Just when she was talking about, some things that you could do, and like smiling was one of them. I went through a deep depression, holiday blues for a long time. And, smiling was just something that I could not do. It didn't feel genuine. And, the times that I did do it, what I call or label fake happy, I would be around people and I would be performing as if I was happy. It just took a lot of energy out of me. It depleted me of a lot of energy. So it was just really just a comment, a thought that I had.
Yes, and thank you for that. And I want to reiterate, when I was speaking of smiling, that's what you can do to help others. So someone going through the holiday blues, smile sincerely at them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Smile sincerely at the person that's going through, because You are, as you said, it's hard for you to do anything. It's hard. It's hard. So
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
sincere smile. So if I was with you and if I was sitting with you and you're sitting over there, I might just look over you and just give you a sincere smile and turn back. That's yeah.
So, and then like what Rhonda said, you know, there were people who would say that, you look so sad or you look mean or whatever. And, you know, sometimes I would say, you know, yeah, I am, you know, I lost my mom or whatever. And their reply a lot of times would be, oh, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? And I'm like, okay, I don't care if it was 10 years ago, I'm still sad about it. So, yeah.
And also we have to be careful of whose timetable we're on. From a clinical standpoint, you don't get to pick how long I grieve over anything. I think the major piece of grieving and the takeaway for this, Felicia, and everyone else, is that we start working on the process of getting through that.
Mm-hmm.
And not be still on first base. And I know that Naomi spoke about that strongly, and I felt that and I heard that, but it's not so much a timetable, it's just time to get started on the process of moving from one part, and it's called change. She talked about it, just changing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I just wanted to kind of add a comment when you were talking about depression and being sad and things like that during the holidays. And a lot of times people don't even know that they're depressed, that they're kind of going through different kinds of emotions, and depression doesn't always manifest itself into being sad. So when shortly after I had lost my mom, I didn't realize that it didn't dawn on me that I was only operating on 2-3 hours of sleep at night. And my mind was just constantly just going. I was working all day, every day, at night, running here, running there, just constantly moving. And I had just so happened to have had a doctor's appointment or something like that. And my doctor asked, how are you sleeping? I'm like, oh yeah, not so much, an hour and two a night. He was like, wait a minute, that don't sound right. He was like, let me give you something real quick. And he gave me this form to fill out. He was like, just fill this out for me. Just answer these little questions. Just do this little survey. Didn't have a title on the top of the page. So I didn't know what the heck he was doing, or like, why are you asking me these questions? So I'm filling out the form, and he says, had you ever been diagnosed with depression? I'm like, I ain't depressed. I ain't sad. The depressed people are on the sofa and don't want to get up out of the bed and stuff like that. And he says, well, on this test that you just scored, the average person scores about a 9 or a 10. I scored like a 17. So he was like, have you been doing this? And have you been doing this? He was like, when you don't sleep and then you're constantly going, your mind is like that television where it just keeps switching the channel. In the old days, we have to turn the channel. He's like, your mind just keeps switching the channel. He was like, you're experiencing depression. He's like, whatever it is that you're trying to keep your mind from thinking about, whatever it is that's on your mind, that's how it's manifesting itself. So he's like, you're going through depression. I'm like, I am not depressed. I'm like, I don't see that. So it took him to really kind of explain that to me about depression and how it can manifest itself, not just being sad and on the sofa and things like that you could be experiencing depression and don't even know it, don't even realize it. It's just, you have to be conscious of those changes and things that you don't typically do. And then you have to kind of step back and think, wow, I am doing this, or I am changing, or wow, I'm not eating like I used to, or wow, I'm not sleeping like I used to, or I don't go to the places that I used to go to. And it just kind of be mindful and conscious of your own behavior while you're really kind of trying to look out for everybody else's. Pay attention to your own sometimes too.
I echo what Nia said. When I had my loss, I thought I was doing good and I thought I was doing great, and because it was so hard for me to get up every day and do anything. And I was getting up and I was doing it. So I thought that I was doing great. My father had to alert me, you're not doing great. You're walking around looking like you are about to break down at any moment. So sometimes having that person that's close to you to really say, how am I coming across? Because for me, I thought I was doing great. So I had to go back and check myself again and say, oh my God, I am about to just fall apart. And then move to take steps to really become healthy in mind, body, and soul again. But for us in that situation, just because we got up when we didn't feel like getting up, just because we made it to the store when we said, you know what, I'm not doing anything, we think we're doing something. We think we're there, and we're not. So it is good if you have someone that is close to you that you can check in with and say, really, how am I doing? How does this look? And allow them to be honest with you back so that you can begin to come back to the road of healing and being more whole. Mr. Lewis stated, he said, grieving never ends, but we are graced to live differently. However, when should we be concerned that depression or anxiety appears to persist on and on? Rhonda, can you answer that? He put it in the chat,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
When it continues to persist on and on, that is at the point where I would strongly suggest that you seek medical help. I know we see a lot of commercials on TV. I know we do. We see all of the side effects and doctors and just a whole perception, especially during this pandemic season and healthcare. But I would strongly suggest that you do seek out a physician that is skilled and trained in this area. And a lot of times they can put you on something so low dose that you don't even realize that you're on it. Other people see the change and you start feeling the change and difference in you. And it's not a forever type of therapy. Once you start showing that you are progressing, then that medication dose can be lowered and lowered and lowered to the point where at one point you're taking a placebo, which is a fake pill, and you don't even realize. You start taking water pills and sugar pills, but they come in the container. So I strongly suggest that you do seek medical treatment, medical help. But also, when you all seek medical help, also be prepared to ask some questions for yourself. It's your healthcare, okay? It's your life. And a lot of times, just to see the next patient, sometimes you get a prescription for something that you really didn't even need at this time. So be very cautious about that.
Mr. Lewis also said, what we value and love most is what we grieve more deeply when we lose. Deanna, were there any questions or anything like that from you guys' group? And welcome all back. Everybody seems to be re-engaged, so thank you guys for coming back. Were there any questions or comments or anything from your group that you guys would like to share?
Well, we did the question and answers, and we were talking about the feelings that Christmas makes you to have. So they were answered, and we have now like a positive attitude about this holidays.
All right, good deal. When you were talking about seeking mental a health professional, Milton, do you want to talk about the mental health first aid training that we're going to have for January?
Yes. So the first aid training, the first aid mental health training. I don't know if anyone here has done it, but it's a great training. It helps in the same way that first aid works with observing the signs and figuring out how to respond to a situation only for mental health. And so we're connecting with Bakota, and they're going to be providing mental health first aid on January the 28th. And The location is still to be announced. We're looking for a place that we can partner with, and but the idea is for us to come together and bring these resources and just create awareness within our community. So we definitely want to open it up. I think there's a cap space of 30 for the event. And if you know someone or are interested in participating in this, please contact me. I can put my email in the, it's free, it's completely free. It's completely free. And I can put my email bottom below. And if you want me to reserve a spot for someone, please let me know, okay?
Can you give it aloud as well for those folks that are joining on Facebook that can't see the chat?
Yes, my email is mguardado, which is MGUARDADO @nrcdc.org.
Okay. There was a resource that Ms. Rhonda just put in the chat box as well. Ms. Rhonda, you want to talk about that resource?
Yeah, this is a free resource that can direct you to other resources. And I put the phone number in there, but it's a chat line. Sometimes maybe you just need someone to talk to first, and then they'll make a determination whether or not to seek medical treatment. At that point, that resource will be able to give you affordable care throughout the Houston metropolitan area.
And that phone number is 1-800-273-TALK, TALK. Are there any, Ms. Naomi?
Yes, I just wanted to add, just piggybacking on Milton. In fact, my certification I'm so glad y'all having the class, my certification just lapsed. I am mental health first aid certified. And I'm going to tell you, it's one of the best things that I could have done. It opened my awareness so much on mental health, not just for myself, but so that I was positioned to help and understand others better. So I encourage you to sign up for that. Milton already sent you a note, put me on that list. I'm up for recertification.
Okay. Alejandro, were there other resources that you all have available as well that you'd like to share? Or Deanna, were there?
Yeah, actually, we send it through the chat, but I'm gonna be sending those ones to this chat too also.
And all the resources that will be shared or that are being shared, when I send out the link of the recording, I'll be sure to include those resources for everybody to be able to have access to if they'd like to share as well. So if anybody else does have any other types of resources that are available, then please feel free to either type them into the chat or email them to me at nmurray, it's NMURRY @nrcdc.org. Oh, you put the link in the chat here. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. And Ms. Naomi, you mentioned that Ms. Brown from NAMI is here.
Yes, I'm so excited to see you here. Y'all are just amazing.
Would you like to introduce yourself as well real quick?
Sure, and I see Marcela Gonzalez on here too. Now that you've merged the English and Spanish speaking. So yeah, I'm Linda Brown, and I work with members and donations and development with NAMI Greater Houston. So, you know, we're a nationwide organization. There's 600 affiliates, all teaching the same programs that were started. The initial one were two moms with severe mentally ill, newly diagnosed sons. One was 12, one was 14 with schizophrenia. And they wrote our family to family program at that time, 40 years ago. And it's still the same program with updated information. We also have a peer-to-peer class, and we also have for providers. So those are at the detail level of what NAMI's doing in Greater Houston, which is doing for Montgomery, Harris, and Fort Bend County. But we also were in DC at the Capitol last week. There were 35 executive directors there, really trying to push forward with the senators at that level. you know, how we need more mental health support from insurance, we need more beds, we need more funds, all of that. And then we also go next week or in February next year to the state capitol in Texas to also talk to them. But our mission is awareness. We have the warm line, of course, that if people need a referral to a physician, whether it's for housing or just so many different things that our warm line can support. So we're doing that, and I'm going to back out. I don't know if Marcella wants to add anything. She's a program director with NAMI Greater Houston here. So I feel like I just wanted to tell you kind of the detail level, but the broad level of what NAMI does. So thank you for doing that. And let me give you that number too. If anyone wants to call and just talk anonymously, it's 713-970-4483. So that's the warm line to get referrals, get more information about our classes. Thank you, Diana, for adding that in the chat. Yeah.
You said it's the warm line, WARM?
Yes, and we call it that because it's not a hotline. Of course, 988 or 911 is where you want to call for a hotline if you're in crisis. But if you need referral information, or you want to talk about diagnoses, or if you just want a fact sheet, maybe you've been newly diagnosed with, you know, whether it be OCD or bipolar or depression, or you want to learn more, we've got lots of educational tools that we can email to you. It's all anonymous. If you just want to talk and find out what the next steps are. Our systems of care where we're involved with the hospitals, with the police, with the sheriffs, with the county. We're at an educational level and a support level with, you know, all of those entities. And they know, you know, it may not be that you can reach out to the social worker. Maybe you can't reach out to your psychiatrist, maybe your counselor. Maybe you don't even want to talk to a priest or a minister or, you know, wherever your religion, you know, a lot of people go there. But if you want general help, NAMI's here at that warm line. It's 9 to 4, Monday through Friday.
Okay. All right, good deal. Is there anything, Alejandro, was there anything that you'd like to add to the broad group? No, you're okay. All right. Ms. Rhonda, is there anything else that you'd like to add as follow-up, or Ms. Naomi?
No, just this was great. A lot of resources, great time. Just keep in mind that we are in that season. So we all have now some tips from Naomi and myself, where we can look for maybe in certain people and just be there to let them know that we're here to help them.
Okay. All right. With that being said, thank you all very much for joining us this afternoon. We hope that the information that was presented here today has been helpful. We ask that you pay it forward and pass it along for your neighbors, family members, co-workers, or whomever that you know that may also find this information to be beneficial. As mentioned previously, this recording, the link of this recording will be sent out for those that have registered for you to go back to view again. And we encourage you to come and join us on January the 28th for the mental health first aid training and other workshops that we've got leading up to Mental Health Awareness Month in May of 2023. So it's going to be an ongoing kind of a series of different workshops that we have. So Mr. Lewis, this workshop was very helpful. All presenters were engaged and armed with practical skills. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Mr. Lewis, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody else. We hope that you all have a wonderful, happy, and safe holiday season. Take care of yourselves and everyone else. And we'll see you all next time.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Smile to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to all a good